The gossip circulating about you has completely spiraled out of control. I am saying this in the most literal, tangible, and currently unfolding sense you could possibly imagine. The reality is that individuals are actively discussing you. This isn't just happening sporadically or in small amounts. It's virtually non-stop. Furthermore, the things they are expressing are completely different from what you might assume. Seriously, it is entirely unlike your assumptions. However, before we delve any deeper into that, we need to take a quick breather. I completely understand that the outside chatter seems to be drowning out your own inner thoughts. I recognize that deep, bone-weary fatigue that hits you when you discover people are discussing you in spaces where you aren't even present. I really need you to truly listen to what I'm about to say. It is completely valid for you to feel drained by their quiet gossip. That emotional burden you feel is absolutely not a sign of frailty. It is simply the heavy toll of dragging around a narrative that doesn't actually belong to you. It's a tale that strangers have crafted about your life without ever asking for your consent. There is a crucial aspect of gossip that rarely gets the attention it deserves. Do you recall the old game of telephone? Right. From when we were children, correct? A single individual murmurs a basic phrase like, "The sky is blue," and by the time it gets to the 10th listener, it morphs into, "The pie is glue." That is precisely the dynamic occurring in your own world at this very moment. Before any tale about you makes its way to the public, it gets distorted by a dozen different individuals' personal insecurities, such as envy, naturally, and simple misinterpretation. It ceases to be an accurate reflection of what actually happened. It transforms into a wildly distorted work of fantasy. Once you truly internalize that concept, it shifts your entire perspective. You must cease internalizing these falsehoods as personal attacks. You aren't responding to actual truths. You are merely responding to a flawed communication chain. Let us just be completely honest with each other for a moment. It is incredibly painful when others completely misunderstand your true nature. Absolutely. It stings deeply. You are only human, and watching your good motives be distorted into something malicious is a terribly difficult experience to go through. However, that fabricated image of you existing purely in their minds is absolutely not your burden to manage. All right. Therefore, we should begin with the glaring truth that no one openly states, yet everyone senses the instant you enter a space. You have a very unique aura. I realize you have likely been told this in the past, perhaps in contexts that felt less than flattering. But please hear me out on my true meaning. You understand how you can usually figure most folks out within the first half-minute of meeting them. You observe them and form a quick judgment. And frankly, that is pretty much the end of the story. That dynamic absolutely does not apply to your presence. When others observe you, they get the distinct impression they are only glancing at the opening chapter of a massive novel. You catch them off guard, though not in a bizarre or uncomfortable manner. It is more of a delightful shock, where they realize they didn't anticipate your depth. Your actions, your words, or your approach to managing a crisis defies their predictions, causing the entire mental narrative they held about you to be completely drafted anew. The astonishing reality is that their reactions are almost never truly about who you are. Instead, it reflects their personal shortcomings and boundaries. Others are captivated by you because simply being yourself makes them face the self-imposed limits on their own potential, which intensely and genuinely intrigues them. They converse about you constantly. Indeed, they remark that you hold far more depth than a quick glance would suggest. That is an actual, verifiable statement that genuine individuals in your everyday life have shared with others regarding you. Now we arrive at the most unbelievable aspect of this whole situation. A number of these gossips have not even shared a single, authentic dialogue with you in their lives. They have constructed comprehensive hypotheses about your character, relying purely on tiny pieces and fleeting looks. Yet, despite only having those minute shards of information, they can feel that beneath your surface lies a complex, potent energy that they struggle to define but find impossible to dismiss. The situation becomes truly fascinating here, as a major reason the chatter continues is due to the hardships you have overcome. Exactly. Right now, you could be pondering this and believing that your past hasn't been exceptionally intense. However, it is vital that you understand my next point with complete clarity. You are minimizing your own experiences simply because they were your daily reality. You walked through those events yourself. Consequently, it all seems painfully average to you. It hardly seems like a topic deserving of anyone's focused attention. Conversely, outsiders clearly recognize the severe trials you navigated. They note the toxic connections that were meant to destroy you. They see the deep disloyalty you faced. That kind of treachery would have shattered the average person for decades. They witnessed the exact instance when your entire foundation crumbled, forcing you to independently learn how to stay upright. And seeing you today leaves them entirely stunned. Truly, this is because you are still standing your ground. You aren't merely existing in the background. In reality, you are deeply engaged, fully conscious, and actively progressing in life. That sort of resilience is incredibly significant. In fact, it means the absolute world. Gossip is essentially spiritually bankrupt individuals attempting to cash in on the value of your good name. Moreover, when others attempt to demolish your accomplishments, they are simply confessing their own lack of foundational substance. Certain individuals in your orbit who observed your struggles will secretly confide in you once they build up the courage. They will admit that they have no idea how you managed to survive. They will honestly confess that they lack the strength to have done the same. They speak these words as if unburdening a dark secret they've harbored for ages, compelled to share because you make endurance seem like an effortless, innate characteristic you've always possessed. Meanwhile, they are slowly grasping that this fortitude is a hard-won trophy, battled for in silent, unseen moments, away from prying eyes. You received 0 accolades for it, yet you continuously elected to push forward anyway. Observers simply do not wipe that from their memories. They actively discuss your perseverance. They warn others not to count you out because your internal might far exceeds your exterior, and they express this with a deep awe that goes way beyond simple respect. Allow me to pivot to the aspect that will likely astonish you the most, as it is a recurring theme whenever your name is brought up. It is your profound intuition and deep inner wisdom. You possess a very unique talent. You have probably spent years brushing it off as merely a fleeting hunch. Yet those watching from the sidelines have clearly spotted it and find it utterly baffling. You possess the power to enter a room and immediately comprehend the dynamics at play. You intuitively feel when the atmosphere is wrong, long before a single syllable is uttered. While chatting with someone, you effortlessly grasp the hidden subtext, the genuine intentions, and the raw emotions concealed beneath perfectly crafted responses. You have accurately predicted outcomes well in advance. You have analyzed individuals with a precision that proved to be flawless, often to a degree that feels slightly unsettling. Unsurprisingly, your peers have begun gossiping about this specific trait with deep intensity. They wonder how on earth you figured it out. They recall that you warned them a quarter of a year prior and regret ignoring you. They admit they should have paid attention when you noted that the vibe was wrong. They even exclaim that you seem capable of literally pulling thoughts from their brains. A few individuals attribute it to bizarrely good fortune. Others credit it to a highly developed sense of awareness. However, the universal consensus is that nothing escapes your gaze. You spot the minor logical flaws. You feel the exact second a person's mood alters. You observe that microscopic twitch on someone's expression when they utter a statement they know isn't entirely truthful. Consequently, this acute awareness terrifies specific people, as your mere existence strips away their ability to act out a fake persona. It is as though your aura acts as a truth serum, forcing others to be authentic, regardless of their actual desires. It really does. These folks are essentially trying out for a part in a lifestyle they haven't genuinely earned. While conversing with you, they will abruptly catch themselves spilling secrets they never planned to share. They end up confessing details kept hidden from their best friends, only to leave the interaction completely bewildered about why they opened up. They question their own sanity for divulging such private matters to you. Following this, they actually complain about the experience to their peers, which is quite amusing if you think about it. These specific rumors originate because individuals are shocked by their own vulnerability around you. But the gossip ultimately just enhances your reputation as a trustworthy soul. It creates a crazy, self-sustaining cycle of trust, and you are sitting right in the middle of the storm, completely oblivious to the mechanics of it. Transitioning to other aspects you might be blind to, we need to discuss your recent personal transformation. Folks are definitely chattering about this evolution, and I am not just referring to your physical aesthetic, though you obviously look fantastic. Absolutely. Never allow another soul to convince you differently. However, the main thing capturing their attention, the change they relentlessly gossip about, is your profound spiritual and mental growth. Consider the person you were a couple of years past, or perhaps even just a few months ago. The massive leap between your past self and your current identity is a tangible energy that your peers can deeply sense. You began prioritizing your own well-being, perhaps silently and in minor steps initially, but you committed to the process. You finally learned to decline commitments that exhausted your spirit. You developed faith in your own judgment regarding events, rather than perpetually doubting your inner voice. Your personal limits evolved into impenetrable walls that aren't rooted in anger or fear, but rather in unshakable self-respect. It is as if you shed the desire to justify your life choices to individuals committed to misunderstanding you. You truly have no obligation to clarify your stance, to those who willingly choose to view you negatively. Setting that standard is a boundary in itself, and it is an exceptionally potent one. Furthermore, there are individuals in your social circle who arrogantly assumed they could predict your every move and reaction. These same people are currently grappling with a bizarre combination of shock and genuine admiration, regardless of whether they have the guts to confess it. They murmur about how they were completely blindsided and never believed you had the courage to take such actions. Hidden beneath their gossip is a profound realization. The person they are currently observing is vastly different from the one they initially judged. Consequently, they are forced to completely reevaluate you, which is truly a magnificent process to observe. Individuals generally only spread rumors concerning actions they secretly long to emulate, but lack the bravery for. Your newfound bravery is actively rattling the core beliefs of folks who have comfortably settled for mediocrity. I want to take a moment to carefully examine this next point, as it constantly surfaces in the most surprising contexts. You must understand that not every person gossiping about you is coming from a place of respect. Deep down, I believe you are already aware of this fact. Your instincts picked up on it. You possess that strong inner compass. You sensed that specific associate whose vibe always felt slightly toxic. The one who grins perfectly on cue while their gaze remains cold. I am talking about the individual whose inquiries feel more like invasive surveillance than genuine friendly interest. Let me explain the true psychology behind their behavior toward you. Simply being around you triggers deeply buried emotions within them that they are completely unequipped to handle. Their negativity is not actually a reflection of your character. It is entirely about the painful truths your existence forces them to see in themselves. When an individual has desperately rationalized a stagnant life full of painful concessions, convincing their ego that they are content, and then they cross paths with you, someone who fiercely rejects mediocrity and emerged from trauma even more authentic, the contrast is jarring. Can you guess the result of that interaction? It causes them immense distress. Yes, the friction is deeply unsettling. It is undeniably an agonizing experience for them. This discomfort isn't due to any malice on your part. It happens because your success proves that alternative, braver choices were always available. Unfortunately, many individuals prefer to attack the living proof, rather than bravely reevaluating their own poor life decisions. They attempt to rebrand your brilliant success as a dangerous blaze that requires extinguishing. Therefore, they gossip and mercilessly dissect your life journey. They endlessly interrogate your true intentions. They search desperately for a narrative spin that frames your beautiful evolution as something sinister or fake. Yet there is an incredibly stunning, almost lyrical twist to their malice. Their sabotage entirely fails. Their schemes collapse because even as they attempt to ruin your reputation by spreading their comforting, fabricated version of you to anyone who will listen, the listener on the receiving end is usually quietly marveling at how amazing you sound. The audience often walks away desiring to build a friendship with you. It is practically impossible to weaponize a tale of true perseverance and frame it as an insult. Human nature simply doesn't operate in that manner. Your narrative is far too powerful to be corrupted. Your internal spirit is simply too robust. Your refusal to engage in the drama is a strategic masterstroke that leaves them entirely bewildered. Furthermore, when you completely deny them a reaction, we arrive at the most glorious outcome. By withholding your participation and starving them of their anticipated emotional outburst, you shatter their toxic loop entirely. Additionally, you must recognize that an immense number of individuals, far more than you could ever suspect, are silently and passionately cheering for your ultimate victory. These are folks who witnessed your darkest struggles and cemented your resilience in their memories. They reflect on your journey during their own personal crises, utilizing your survival as concrete proof that overcoming tragedy is genuinely achievable. You have likely offered passing advice to an individual during a distracted moment, and they have cherished those exact words for years on end. You remain blissfully unaware of which specific interaction sparked it. You have no clue which particular phrase resonated so deeply with them. Yet somewhere in the world exists a human whose entire trajectory shifted simply because of a comment you made, an action you took, or just your general vibe. And the gorgeous reality is that they recount your impact to others, prefacing it by mentioning an incredible person they once knew. And the hero of that tale is you. You are actively being cited in discussions you are entirely absent from, serving as living evidence for concepts that desperate people long to validate. You are the proof that deep emotional recovery is an absolute reality. You prove that rebuilding your life from scratch is genuinely achievable. You demonstrate that the pure core of your spirit, which seemed to vanish during tough times, never truly disappeared. That inner self was merely biding its time. And while your continued growth will inspire toxic individuals to attempt to diminish you with insults, the souls who truly count are actively magnifying your legacy in spaces you will never personally visit, speaking your name with profound adoration. Moving forward, this next point is the one that will likely resonate with you for the greatest amount of time. Therefore, I intend to articulate it with careful deliberation. The most prominent piece of gossip, the narrative that perpetually spreads and infiltrates vastly different social circles, is the theory that you lack a firm grasp on your own immense value. Before you get defensive over that claim, allow me to clarify their intentions. This is absolutely not meant as a slight against your character. In truth, it serves as the most intriguing form of flattery imaginable. Observers are merely pointing out that you appear completely blind to your own profound talents, your complex emotional layers, and the powerful impact you leave on others. It appears as if you have been so desperately focused on mere survival, so consumed with enduring each waking hour, and so heavily burdened with keeping your world from collapsing, that you literally haven't paused to admire the magnificent creature you have transformed into. Outsiders recognize a deep sage-like knowledge within you, while you casually dismiss it as the simple result of surviving rough times. They marvel at your almost psychic instincts, which you humbly refer to as basic logic. They are stunned by a fierce power in you, whereas you shrug it off as merely fulfilling your necessary obligations. Observing a person wield such immense capabilities without loudly claiming them is akin to witnessing someone casually holding a breathtakingly beautiful present right in their lap. It looks exactly like a treasure they have tragically refused to unwrap. Consequently, Bystanders possess a strong urge to softly grab your shoulders and demand that you finally acknowledge your own brilliance. They desperately want you to see your own stunning reflection. The traumatic events you wave off as mundane simply because you lived through them are, in fact, incredibly extreme. The nightmares you endured would have permanently broken the vast majority of the population, yet you emerged with your kindness intact, your heart unsealed, and your capacity to support others fully functional. That outcome is utterly extraordinary. That specific trait is precisely what individuals murmur about behind your back. Their gossip isn't focused on your flaws. Rather, they are utterly bewildered by your phenomenal grace. They constantly question how you maintain such vulnerability despite the hell you faced. They cannot fathom how you manage to place faith in others anymore. They are astounded that your capacity for empathy hasn't entirely dried up. I truly recognized your existence. I deeply comprehend your perspective. Furthermore, I fully grasp the immense weight pressing down upon your spirit. I am well aware of your profound exhaustion. I realize there are mornings you question the value of maintaining your high standards. Yet you must remember that your true essence vastly exceeds anything a rumor could possibly contain. You are beautifully complex. You possess unfathomable emotional depths. You are perpetually evolving into a grander version of yourself. Moreover, the observant individuals in your social circle clearly recognize that you are currently on an epic journey, actively forging a destiny, and they know that your current chapter pales in comparison to the glorious future awaiting you. They witness this potential in your daily actions, the recent healthy decisions you have finalized, and the new intentional paths you have boldly started walking down. Consequently, they are observing your ascent with a fascinating blend of pure awe and eager excitement. It feels as though they have secured VIP tickets to witness a spectacular phenomenon, and they are completely mesmerized. The reason they gossip about you is simply that you are entirely unforgettable. Indeed, you leave an indelible mark because you strolled through infernos meant to destroy you. Yet you exited those flames holding onto a profound prize. You radiate an intense compassion and a deep cosmic understanding that is absolutely impossible to counterfeit. Truly, it is an energy that defies acting and completely rejects artificial production. One either possesses that battle-tested wisdom from lived experience, or they lack it completely, and you undeniably possess it. Please refrain from exchanging your hard-earned tranquility for their chaotic theatrics. Guard your emotional vitality as if it were the most precious treasure you own. Maintain your dignity and heavily restrict who gains access to your inner life. Allow the haters to mutter their falsehoods in the background. You are busy focusing on creating your empire. You are actively forging a genuine, unbreakable reality that completely bypasses any need for their petty approval. Right now, we are reclaiming your authority. We are seizing control because the sole narrative holding any actual weight is the one you are actively penning daily through your intentional actions and your commitment to personal growth. Those alternate personas that strangers have crafted, whether they stem from awe, deep-seated insecurity, or pure bafflement, they simply mirror the massive ripple effect your existence causes. Their gossip serves as undeniable evidence that your life possesses intense meaning, leaves a permanent mark, and acts as a catalyst for change. However, those rumors do not define your core reality. Your authentic self is a deeply guarded secret that belongs exclusively to your soul. Your truth resides in that pure, untainted feeling you experienced upon waking, long before your logical mind geared up for the day. It exists within that fleeting, liberated identity you occasionally catch sight of during periods of absolute silence. Precisely. Unshackled in a manner that your current daily routine hasn't fully accommodated thus far. That spectacular identity is absolutely not an illusion. That beautiful persona is exactly the destination you are marching toward. Therefore, rigidly maintain your genuineness, despite how much it bothers the critics, because your personal reality requires zero external validation to be legitimate. Ultimately, all that gossip simply represents the general public slowly discovering the immense power you've always quietly recognized within your own soul. Your worth dramatically exceeds the public's perception of you. In fact, your potential far outshines even the limits you have personally accepted for yourself. Moreover, the absolute most thrilling aspect of this entire journey is that your upcoming unwritten adventures will vastly eclipse the current gossip, forcing the rumor mill to completely reboot its narrative. Rest assured, they definitely will start over. Without a doubt, that is what will happen. It is simply the inevitable consequence of showing up completely authentic. You are wonderfully, unapologetically yourself, just exactly as you are meant to be.